smashing into other giant robots.
You are listening to the Giant Robots Smashing into Other Giant Robots podcast, where we explore the design, development, and business of great products. I'm your host, Chad Pytel.
And that's your other host, Sami.
That's me, and that's your other host, Will. That
Larry.
makes three of us. Will, Larry as well. I was really looking forward to this because I think you're going to be proud of me, both of you, to be fair, because you knew about this bike ride that I was doing, so that went well, and I know like we've got a lot of emails in from listeners kind of asking how it was, and people are really interested in it. So I did that about that was the end of June. That was time of recording. We're the last week of July, and I bought running shoes. And they arrived the day after the bike ride. And I said, I don't want to lose this level of exercise and fitness. And I've been running 3 times a week since the bike ride. So I've done 10 runs. And my latest run was a 10K, which I did in 1 hour.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm
very impressive.
I'm buzzing off it. I never, ever thought I could run 10K. I told you about when I did it last time and I got injured and I never thought I'd be able to do it. And it's definitely hard. It's much harder than I can't explain to you. Like for me, that 10K was just as hard. So it took me an hour. It's just as hard as doing about 4 hours on a bike. Like it's really hard work running. But I'm getting there. Like I'm trying to do slow and long is my plan for the running, and trying to enjoy it a bit more.
Nice. Are you listening to anything when you run?
The Giant Robots podcast.
There you go. That's the right answer.
Yeah, and that's the truth, and I only ever speak the truth. So that's what I'm listening to.
I love it.
Yeah, it is. So okay, I've got a few questions. Firstly, the gear makes a massive difference. I actually invested in good running shoes, and that makes and good running socks. And I found out about the racer loop, running loop, the way you tie your laces. I don't know if you have any idea what I'm talking about.
I've heard about this before, but I don't know it.
The heel lock?
Yes, the heel lock. Do you know about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I use it because,
Yeah, go on. Tell me why you use it. It's probably the same reason.
Because my feet were sliding back and forth in my shoes, even though it's a little bit, and it's just annoying and painful. But once I did that heel lock, like I sit in the back of my shoe, like where it's supposed to be. So yeah, that's where I learned it from and why I researched it. Cause I was like, why is it? And it's not much movement, but it's just enough to like blisters or just annoy you and stuff like that. But I guarantee you've probably seen it, Chad. You're a big time runner, so
maybe. What is it?
Yeah. How do I explain it? You put the shoelace in the top 2 loops, and like on the left side, you will have like a little loop like that, and you loop it through, and you do it the same other side, and you pull it tight. And so you're tying your shoes all the way to the top. This is probably not making sense, but you're tying it all the way to the top, but that loop just makes it cinch a little bit tighter. I don't have my shoes in here. I was going to show you.
but that for me, that also made a massive difference. Like finding out, doing kind of like those small things have made a massive difference for me. And just, kind of like slowing down as well and not trying to be so competitive. The one thing I don't know if I've done yet is this flow state that you've kind of spoken about. Like, how do I know if I got to that flow state or what it even looks like?
I don't know. That's probably just like describing how to tie that knot in the shoe. It's probably hard to describe. I don't truly know that I've ever gotten into that, but I do find running long distances very like meditative. It clears my head, and I'll go and running for an hour and a half, 2 hours or more doesn't feel like that long.
Really?
Right.
Wait, how long are you running for then? If you do a long run?
Well, so tomorrow I'll run for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Which is how
I'm
many?
sorry, on Wednesdays I'll run for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Tomorrow will be an hour and 20 minutes.
How many kilometers is that?
It's a half marathon, so it's 14 miles.
I don't understand that because that's about 22 kilometers. And I came back from my 10K and I said, could I do another one of these? And the answer to that is no way.
But you'll get there eventually by consistently doing it.
That's the key. Yeah. What's your pace usually on that?
9 minutes and 30 seconds. It's not particularly fast.
Oh, I'm having to translate everything. So you're 9 minutes and 30
That's pretty
seconds.
fast.
What
For
is
a half marathon?
It's funny that you do everything in kilometers, Sammy, when distances in the UK for driving are miles, right?
Yeah, I don't know why we do that for running. So you're 9 minutes and 30 seconds per mile.
Yeah, but that's not particularly fast.
It's fast.
No.
Oh, what
Steve
is
Polito is a lot faster. This is the thing about running. There's
Yes.
always someone who runs further than you and faster than you.
No, but that's
And
not.
you just
That's
gotta
not.
be okay with that.
But that's not always true because if you are the fastest person in the world, then there wouldn't be.
Yeah, but you're not going to be the fastest person in the
But
world.
that's what. Why do we have to have that defeatist attitude and tell ourselves that? I feel like
Killed your dream.
You know,
You're just going to be
Yeah.
unsatisfied all the time.
I think that's the issue with running is like, oh, I'm gonna get out here, lace up my shoes, and run a 9-minute pace, and get out there and run a half marathon week 1. But no one ever talks about like, Chat, how long have you been running?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like more than 20 years.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, week 1 you were not running half marathon 9-minute
Right.
pace. If you did, you probably got injured and things like that.
I did get injured. Yeah.
Yeah,
When I first started running longer distances.
yeah.
But what do you
And
do for 2 hours? Like, are you bored?
Listen to podcasts or audiobooks.
I listen to audiobooks. I can't do music. For some reason, I just can't do music, but audiobooks is my jam.
Yeah, I guess it's having then like a good podcast to go to. But yeah, it blows my mind that people can run for that long. And then you think about marathons, like ultra marathons, but maybe it's a case of time.
Ultramarathons.
Yeah. Have you done
Yeah.
one of those? What have you done?
No,
What's the
no,
longest?
no.
What's the longest distance you've ever run?
A marathon.
And this is also something they don't tell you. Like, that's not your fastest pace. That's your slow pace. What's your fast pace, Chad?
Oh, if I run as fast as I can.
Yeah, like
Like
if you're
for-
competing in
for-
a race or something.
So I ran that 5K for my kid's school, and it was my fastest 5K ever. It was just under 7 minutes a mile, if I remember. No,
That's
it might
like-
maybe just over for the full thing. Maybe like
Give me the overall
minutes,
time.
4 seconds.
What was the overall time on the 5K?
I don't remember. I think it was 23 minutes. 23.
he was
24
moving,
minutes.
Sammy.
Yeah, I think that's just silly. I think it's immature.
But
Wait,
even then,
run a race.
there was
Yeah.
like 70 people in the race, and I only came in like, I forget what it is, like 12th in my age group or something like that. There were, there's
Wow.
people that are faster.
Yeah. I've been to some of these. This is embarrassing, but I'm just going to say it. I went to one race and it was like multiple 60 and 70-year-old people that beat me.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's no way I would have kept up.
I have a theory that you can increase your pace by practicing and conditioning, but I also think that there is something where people just have different paces naturally, and some people are naturally faster than others.
That makes sense. I think I can beat that though. I think I can beat that experience because I signed up for an MMA class maybe 2 years ago, and I ended up in the ring with and just kind of like sparring and training, but again with someone who was in the 60 to 70-year-old bracket. And I walked in there like, this guy's not going to see 75. Like, I was confident, like this was it. And he just toyed
And he showed
with me.
you 75.
He absolutely toyed with me. Like, he hardly moved and just kept hitting me straight in the nose constantly. Not hard because we were sparring, but like just showing me that he was dominant. So yeah, age is nothing but a number. Let me tell you, it was a humbling experience. So the idea then is if I keep running 3 times a week, 5Ks, 10Ks, I'll automatically be able to just go for longer.
If you build it up, I think that's the whole point of it. If you do I think it's 10% every week you increase, I think it's what they recommend. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go faster.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't think I need to compete at a fast level, but just the ability to be able to do it for a long time is really interesting to me. Like when you have something which you feel like you cannot do. So my first run 6 weeks ago, whenever it was, 5 weeks ago, I did 2.7 kilometers, and I thought, that's it. That's where I'm at. And so to be 10 runs later doing 10, it's cool. It's like I look forward to it. So hopefully I'm going to get out again today and see where I end up.
Cool. Good luck.
That's when summers here are just brutal, and that's what makes it tough to keep the pace. Unless you're up at 5 a.m, it's just brutal. So yeah, I am keeping up with it, just trying to do that. But also, I feel like running, you have to be okay with being with yourself, if that makes sense. Like, you have to be okay with just you and just going slow. I made that mistake so many times. I'm like, I want to make this a workout where I'm Usain Bolt, just ripping it up and down and running a 9-minute pace right out, and it doesn't. And then now the trick is like, I'm okay with myself, just being out here, just enjoying nature and dodging cars here in Florida.
That's cool. So Will, we were chatting a bit before off air, and one of the things we were talking about was, maybe we've all done this, like times where we've done work or invested in projects where we haven't been paid, and whether that's kind of worked out or not. And this really hit home because I came out of a meeting on Wednesday where I met with someone to discuss a product I'd been building for free, and essentially kind of got the feedback that no one's really going to use this and they're not interested. So that's the conclusion. The question is how I got there. I've got a twin brother, which is amazing, and it's lovely at times, and we kind of grew up playing football together, very competitive. But like the downside of it is, when he phones you and he says, "I've made you the CTO of my new company," you kind of get drawn in. Like, he kept telling me we're going to make a lot of money. And we kind of ended up speaking about how we're going to spend it as well.
Just for my mental picture of this, are you identical twins?
It's a great question, actually. It's one that we scientifically do not know the answer to, believe it or not.
Do you look alike?
We do look alike. We do. If you
identically,
this is science. Yes, we do look very, very, very similar. So you would assume we are identical, but that's like this is science. That's not how it works, Chad. But ostensibly, yes, we'll call us identical.
Okay, I've got it locked in my mental mind now. That it's two of you talking.
Personalities are very close.
They're pretty close. He, believe it or not, is kind of more eccentric than I am. So he's got a very addictive personality. So when he clings on to something, he will stay with that thing. And so he's been clinging on to this kind of business idea. And I was the missing piece of the puzzle. So essentially what that has kind of looked like is over the last 6 months, I've been spending time in the evenings and sometimes on the weekends trying to build this product, which we thought it still might do, but the idea was we're onto something here. And it's a pretty decent product. So just to kind of explain what it is. So we have a lot of charities in the UK that are very, very busy doing their fundraising and running everything else they're doing. And the smaller charities don't have like any data analytics. So bigger charities will have people look at their data and they make data informed decisions based on how many people are donating, where the donations come from, demographics, all of that good data-driven analysis. But smaller charities don't do that. So the idea was to build a platform, like a data analytics platform specifically for charities and specifically around kind of crowdfunding campaigns. The idea was we would become a plugin for a big crowdfunding platform. So our route to market was crowdfunding platform already has charities coming on to help them do crowdfunding. And we are then like an extension package, a plugin, if you like. So a couple of months before your campaign, we get offered to the charity by the crowdfunding platform to say, there's data analytics tool you can use, which can help inform your next campaign. Some of the cool stuff we did, I did, was create a chatbot that allows you to use AI to kind of ask any question you want about your data. So it uses Ruby LLM as a gem, and it allows the LLM access via an SQL tool call to your data. And that was cool. There was like privacy stuff you had to work on, make sure it doesn't have access to certain data. But like when it came down to it, it was almost like it's a great product, but the crowdfunding platform who we wanted to almost market it for us said, we just don't know if charities are going to spend time using this. They tend to do things a lot last minute. They don't have the type of people who maybe are interested or find these tools valuable. So the advice we got was, go and do some case studies, get some pilot charities on board, get them to use it and demonstrate value. Like, how are you going to demonstrate value? Can you categorically show that using your platform brings in more money? Can you show that it saves them time? And we don't really know the answers to it, but it was a bit of a sucker punch for me because I'm like, I work in the industry. How many clients have I worked with where we've talked about validating the product first? Mm-hmm. How did I get myself into this situation where I'm standing in the lift of an office block in London where me and my brother are looking at each other and thinking about how we're going to spend the money on the way to this meeting, only to come out that like feeling deflated. I'm like, I can't believe this happened to me.
Do either of you have experience or relationships with existing charities? Where did this idea come from?
Yeah, great question. So my brother works in the charity sector a little bit, and he's run a few of these kind of crowdfunding campaigns. So that's where it's come from. It's difficult because we did a bit of research. Like we spoke to a few charities, and it's the problem. Like everyone says to you, "Oh yeah, I would love to use that. Yeah, it sounds like it would work really well." Mm-hmm. And maybe they still will, but the crowdfunding.
So that's what I'm hearing. You're not at a dead end. You're at a corner, and you have the pathway to see whether these people will actually use what you've built, and you can also help them use it. It doesn't need to be just tossing it off to them and completely self-service. You could help them use it.
So that's really interesting. You've said that because that's what we were told, that they won't just pay for software. They want a service alongside that where you sit with them and you talk them through and you guide them and you in the lead up to their campaign, you meet them every couple of weeks. That's the sort of kind of hand holding they will need and they will probably want. And yeah, what's also difficult is the data analysis you can technically do with any AI. You can export the data, give it over to ChatGPT, and then just interrogate the data in that way. So what value does the software bring is a big question.
I believe that there's still a spot for software because people are inherently like, they just want to have something something prepackaged that does what they need is an easier path than doing it themselves. And so I believe there's still room for that. There will be some people who are like, oh, I'm just going to use ChatGPT, or I'm just going to do this myself. But I do believe that there is some room for software still.
Yeah, I think we also kind of we said that in the meeting, like the analogy we use is like a haircut, where everyone can technically give themselves a haircut, but you're willing at the right price point and for the correct, like the right level of convenience, you're still willing to go in and have the haircut done by someone else.
And it sounds like charities where you're at is a lot like here in the US, overworked and underpaid, raising the funds for those things. And so that was actually my background, nonprofits. And one of the things you're always like, okay, do I have time for this? So like you're saying, in that area, yeah, I can go and put this in AI, but I don't have the time to go and put that in AI. If you put it in front of my face and say, hey, well, these are the numbers, I'm like, oh yeah, I can use that. But to sit down, take a couple hours, that's very, very hard to do it because, they're usually overworked. They're usually juggling 2 or 3 hats already. So when you're saying, hey, you could do this, it's different. It's like right now, like we got 4 kids and yes, I can clean the house, or I can make it a lot easier and just pay someone to come in and help us out. And that's kind of like, I want to do a lot of DIY stuff, but I'm like, I don't have the time to do the DIY stuff. Like, all right, I'm just going to pay someone to do it if I have the money to do it. So.
Sure. Let me just voice note my brother. Yeah, I've got someone for the advisory board. Yeah, he's worked in the sector before. Oh, yeah, he wants to join. Free. He's proper relaxed.
Free.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I'll catch you later. Yeah. Well, that's great advice. Honestly, yeah, I appreciate that advice. So that's really, really helpful.
And if your brother has done these campaigns before, like there's no reason why the next time he does one, he can't use this tool and himself and see the value of it. And that becomes a case study too, because he's doing it for a different charity.
But we both said to each other, like, how do we prove it's allowed the charity to raise more money? Like this tool is the cause for the increase in what you've raised. Like that's very difficult. It's a difficult correlation to prove, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think you actually need to do that. As long as they do have an increase and they use the tool, then that's good enough for marketing.
Yeah, that's a good question, because in the nonprofit sector, everything is about stories, because most of them is trying to make an impact, and that's how you sell. Like nonprofits have to sell, they're just selling their impact. And then to sell their impact, they have to go to this person and say, hey, this is my impact that I've made. Like we've helped X amount of people with hurricanes, and this is what it looked like. So your story would probably be they increase. And so the next nonprofit be like, hey, Red Cross, for example, is here. Hey, we helped Red Cross and it increased their number, this, or they raised X amount of dollars doing it this way, or it helped their, like, you got to have a story with it. And that's what nonprofits think in, stories.
I think that's good to hear as well, because I was thinking like we need to have like causation, but maybe correlation like is enough in this context.
Anything to help them.
Firstly, the AI stuff was really cool. Like in the past, you have to, as a developer, you have to create every query from scratch for the client. And here you can they can talk, so they can say to the AI, they can say, over my last 3 campaigns, what has actually been the best hour for people giving donations, so we can focus on being alert during those hours of the day. And the AI will go off and make a query based on a donated at column on all the donations in that campaign and respond and say to them, this is the best hour. Or we say to it, we're 10,000 short of our budget. We've only got 1 hour left. Where should we focus all our efforts? And it will bring you up and say, you need to focus on these teams or these donors because of X, Y, and Z. You say, right, give me a script that can help me tell the story that we need at this point of the campaign. It's just mind-blowing how, like, the flexibility that it gives them. And there's still engineering work to do that. which was really, really interesting. So that's mind blowing. But I want to go back to the question of how do I not get myself so that feeling of when I was in that meeting and it wasn't going as we expected. So we had to kind of call like the yacht company and get the deposit back because we would already we were purchasing stuff. Like I can't even tell you. And we were talking about like what model Tesla goes best with like our clothing on a Sunday sort of thing. It was bad. We got ourselves to a bad place. You know how you do the maths?
It sounds like you really sort of fed into each other there.
Do you know how much the charity sector is worth? I mean, there is so much money in the charity sector for the right reasons. But when we looked at the numbers and we considered, if we get a certain percentage slice of that, it's ridiculous numbers. So we definitely got lost. But how do I avoid that feeling when we were kind of told like it's not actually going to be as simple? You're kind of at a corner, and we were told quite brutally, but honestly, like they didn't think this is something that people might use, and we need to do more to kind of prove that. How do I avoid that in the future? And maybe for others who are kind of doing these side hustles or free work, what can you do?
Well, I think you already alluded to it a little bit, like before building a bunch of stuff, figuring out ways of validating the idea. And that will often be talking with real users, rapidly prototyping things and showing it to them and getting them to use it. But making it as real as possible, because like you said, people will always say, oh yeah, that sounds good. But the more, without building things, the more you can figure out the right way to test actual things is good. And I would also come back to the fact that your brother has done this before, has done these campaigns before. So that's not to be overlooked too. Like if your brother would find it valuable in his work, that in and of itself is partial validation.
But this is the same brother who 2 months ago put up a dartboard in his house, spent £60 on darts, and told me that he was going to become a professional darts player to support his family. Do you understand where like this is where I struggle with it? But in theory you're right, and I think I can't even tell you. But can I bring him on the pod once? We should bring him on, and he can go through.
Well, for all we know, we're talking to him right now, Sami.
Yes.
Who told you? How do you know? I can't. The amount of times he called me once and he said, "We need to buy a quad bike." I was like, "Why do we need to buy a quad bike?" He's like, "It's the new way of travel. I'm telling you, it's the new way to travel." And he's done a lot. He joined a snooker club once and brought himself a snooker cue and convinced himself he was going to become a snooker player.
Okay, so I don't think it doesn't sound like you have a product problem. It sounds like you have a brother problem.
Yeah,
you have a brother market fit problem.
I do, and it's ChatGPT makes the whole thing worse. So like when I came in for my first day of work as the CTO, I was presented with a document of what needs to be done. And it was just completely full of AI. Like it was just AI. And I said, I'm not doing this. Well, we're not starting building this just based off AI, and kind of got him to like break things down more and put them into a Trello board. But look, I need to be careful because he's got his own podcast. And so if he listens to this, I'm worried he's going to have like a diss track which comes out soon against me for the way I led him.
We should have him on and get his perspective on this. That would be
I'm down.
Great.
Honestly, I'm down. We can try and make it happen. And you'll see how he will probably still be trying to say like, we just need to hold in there. Yeah, the phrase he keeps using, for better or for worse, is we just need to hold our balls. And he's saying anyone and any millionaire, anyone who's made a lot of money. So every time we hit a blocker, he sees that as proof we're on the verge of making it big. Does that make sense? Every blocker reinforces the belief that this is what every billionaire did.
Right. That's a very interesting phenomenon. That's very hard to disprove because we only have we gravitate towards the success stories. So you can point to the success stories and say, oh, this person faced this adversity, they pushed through, they held on, and they made it. Well, yeah, that's true because they made it. But there was probably, scores of other people who hit that blocker and then failed. So we don't know about them.
It's true. Coding. A lot of people do that with coding.
So how about yourselves? Like, have you ever done any of these endeavors where you've done something on the side or put time into something? And it could even be that it's come through work where you've decided not to charge for a product and said, right, we believe in the idea, we'll take equity instead, and we'll keep holding out, and we feel like something will come down the line.
Well, I'm curious, have you done any side projects or volunteering work or anything?
Yeah, I have, but I usually throw a test out very, very early and see how involved you're going to be in this. And so, like, whatever it may be, I'm like, hey, okay, this is what the idea. You gave me this information of what you want to build. This is what I'm thinking. And I need, 2 hours from you. And if they can't give me that 2 hours, I'm like, okay. Because I'm probably going to spend more than 2 hours. But if you're not going to be doing the same thing, I usually exit out of it. And that just kind of saved me a lot of headache and a lot of pain, because one of my biggest, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I see potential in everyone. And in my old job with hiring, that was a good thing and a bad thing, because I'm like, oh yeah, we can get them there. We can get them there. And then when they never get there, we're like, man, I believe that they were going to get there and it was going to be great. But I've also had people surprise me and be like, and they have gotten there. So I think for me to not burn out, I've kind of thrown that test out very early. And that usually weeds out a lot of the issues of like, okay, is this going to make it or not? Because like, if I'm going to do it for free, like at least be involved, be in the trenches with me. Like, because it's going to, like, I can't do it by myself. Like, I'm going to need your input. And that's usually what I see when people think, oh, you're a developer? Okay, I got this idea. Let me tell you all about it. This, and this. I'm like, okay, I'm willing to do the work. Are you willing to do the work? And 90% of the time that has fizzled out. So that's kind of where I've been with it. My kid's school did that not too long ago. Like, I was like, all right, I'll help you out and let's do it. And so I kind of sent them a document of the expectations and what I want to do. And I never heard back. And I was like, okay, like that's my answer. Like you're looking for something else. So
that's quite good advice, because I could have done that at the beginning as well. Imagine if I sent a document of expectations, then maybe I wouldn't have, because it's really, because you do have this like this sunken cost fallacy where you put in, a few hours, and then the more you invest, the more you're involved, and then it's kind of like harder to get out. But if you set out kind of expectations at the beginning, then that's really helpful.
Yeah, because I also have another example. There is this nonprofit that I was helping just create a basic website. And it took a while. This was before AI. This was years ago. And I did so much work. And the only thing I needed from them was the copy of everything, like the words to put on the website. And it was like pulling teeth to get it from them. And it was free. And I was working for the nonprofit and it was free and things like that. But the boss came in and was like, man, you're still working on that website? And I was like, because no one really knows how much you're doing unless you're telling them, hey, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And that's usually not what you're doing. You're not telling them like, hey, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. That was the one thing that taught me, is like kind of put expectation on them, get ahead of it. Hey, this is what I need. I need these words, this copy, these images from the very beginning. And the people that are motivated and want to make it happen, they'll give it to you quickly. They're like, oh, here it is. Thank you so much. Most people are not that way.
Yeah, that's good advice.
It sounds harsh, but I got 4 kids. I gotta do my time somehow. Because I would help anybody. That was one of my things when I learned coding. The people who have helped me along the way, when I saw that, I'm like, if you want to learn coding, I will teach you coding. Anyone, if you want to learn it, hit me up. I will teach you. But you gotta be in the game with me, and you gotta put the work in, because there are so many people. There's people that do it the right way and the wrong way, in my opinion. And it was hard to learn coding. So like, I was like, I will always help anybody that want to learn coding, but you got to be willing to do the work.
Yeah, I think that's fair. How about yourself, Chad? Have you been in a situation where you've kind of done things on the side or voluntarily done things for free? Maybe you have good experiences.
It wasn't particularly a good experience, but it was a little bit of a lesson learned. Back when my wife and I first had kids, we had a baby, and we were out and about, and like we wanted, especially back then, it was 2009, 10, finding restrooms with changing tables or a good public restroom or that kind of thing when you have kids, good restaurants for kids, that kind of thing. And so we started to like chat between us, like there's not really an app for this. You can use, you can look on Yelp and everything, but it's not always tailored to the needs of parents. And so came up with this idea of a product called Out With Baby. And it would be a mobile app where you could basically look up kid-centric listings of restaurants, bathrooms, that kind of stuff, leave reviews, add your own, that kind of thing. And got pretty excited about it and started to build it on the side. And it was neat to like get ideas from her and to be able to put them into code. And then I realized like our kids are going to grow, like it's going to be a couple years where we actually use this. And then like, I'm not going to use it anymore. And that's going to be the case for most users. And so it sort of like started to fizzle even for us as like something that we were excited about. And I realized if it's starting to if the idea is not lasting for us, then that's a fundamental sort of problem with the product. And we just sort of lost momentum on it and didn't take it all the way across the finish line because we lost momentum on it.
But technically, you would always have more people coming in, right, to the app, because everyone's hitting that phase at different times.
Yeah, definitely. Like, maybe you can make it work. And there's a lot of like apps in terms of like parent plans, breastfeeding, like there's a lot of those apps. So I think you could probably make it work. We just sort of lost excitement for it. Also building products, especially, ones that are community driven marketplaces, like they're a lot of work to do. Mm-hmm. And I think we just sort of fizzled out before doing that work.
That's fair. Have you ever been close to entering into an agreement for equity? So let's say someone's come to thoughtbot and said, this is my idea. I don't have the funds at the moment, or I can pay X, but Y I'll offer an equity.
We've done that a couple of times, but it's almost always been an existing client or someone that we had an existing relationship with that came to us with either a new idea or something in part of their thing. And we said, okay, we like working together. We know we work well together and we believe in this idea and we want to keep on working together. So we actually have one of those clients right now. It's called Roundup. It's roundup.org. They pay us a portion of our rates in exchange for equity. And part of the reason why we do that is because it is for a good cause. So roundup.org allows you to essentially round up your bills to donate to charities.
That's really interesting because I know a charity product for a really good cause, which helps charities like analyze their data. Would you be interested? We could offer
Sami, I said it was someone that I've worked with before. Know we work well together, and
yeah, but I'm like we work well together, right? Surely. Like, you know me. I mean, I'm trustworthy.
Your brother has me worried a little bit.
Yeah, I think.
What are you
He's got to
saying,
get him on the
Sami?
show, and then we do some betting live on the show. It'll be like Shark Tank.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That would be good. Let's make him sweat. Let's get him in and make him pitch the product, and we can pivot. We can do things with it and try and make it work. But look, if you don't have to develop on it to get equity, you can invest. Like, there's definitely different ways we can release equity.
So the discount in exchange for equity that we give Roundup is not huge. So
Right.
they're still covering costs.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't really have any money, but we're not making a loss. No, we're not making a loss, which makes us more profitable than OpenAI. So it all depends about how you look at it.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're more profitable than a lot of big tech.
Okay. How are you not making a loss?
Because they're not spending any money.
Yeah, because you got me working late in the evening.
But that's what I was going to say, your time.
Your time.
I know. Do you know what happened initially? We took it to someone else, and they offered to vibe code it for £10,000,
Mm-hmm.
and they pretty much showed us what it would look like by vibe coding it even before we agreed to pay for it. And I told my brother just to run a mile. Like, I don't know. I think without being able to kind of like see the code or understand it, I think it was too risky. We could have used it as a prototype, but the money was it was silly money.
Well, cool. Let's try to get your brother on. That would be fun.
Can't wait.
People can look forward to that.
Definitely. Look,
Yes.
I'll drop him a message. And tell him to come and pitch his idea. I'm going to say we're a panel of experts, and we're willing to give him 7.5 minutes to pitch his idea. And if it's good, he can stay on for longer. So as long as he produces good content for us, then we'll keep him on.
Otherwise, we just kick him from the call.
Yeah. Just do it. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Ouch.
Well, listeners will have that to look forward to.
Is he the older brother or younger brother?
Younger by 4 minutes. So I think 4 minutes is actually a really, really long time if you think about life experience. Because what I gained in those 4 minutes, I was breathing in oxygen. I was able to kind of see the world around me, and you can see over time that 4 minutes, it's made a massive difference and continues to do so.
So instead of giving him 7.5 minutes, we should give him 4 minutes to pitch.
Maybe 4 minutes is fair, but he can never catch up with me. Do you see what I mean? Like, you can't catch up those 4 minutes ever. So he's my younger brother. Yeah, he's like little. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to go. Look, we have to be, we have to have something that allows us to cut him at any given moment. Or we're not live, so we will just bin the episodes if we have to. And if he doesn't show up, I could just be him, right?
Right.
There you go.
So no matter what, we'll have him here for next episode. Guarantees.
I love it.
Yeah, he's going to be buzzing.
Well, this has
by
been the Giant
Yeah.
Robots Smashing into Other Giant Robots podcast. You can find show notes for this episode at giantrobots.fm. You can find me on socials at cpytel at thoughtbot.social.
You can find me at sammybirnbaum.com, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn.
You can find me on LinkedIn at William Larry, I think my government name.
And if you have any
I don't
questions or comments, you can email us at host@giantrobots.fm. Feel free to reach out to me directly if you're looking to invest in a charity platform that is there for all your charities' data analytics. And we'll see you next time.